World War I, 1917 to 1918. Under Governor Keith Neville, saw Nebraska send 28,000 young men to a European slaughter driven by imperial rivalries and banker profits, a conflict that could have been avoided and offered no benefit to Nebraska or America. President Woodrow Wilson's reckless decision to sail ships through German U-boat zones provoked the Lusitania's sinking, killing 128 Americans, a pretext inflated by the Zimmerman telegram. A German proposal to Mexico dismissed by Mexico, but exploited to justify war. Senators George Norris and Gilbert Hitchcock, alongside Representatives Charles Sloan, Charles Reavis, Albert Jeffress, Robert Evans, William Andrews, and Moses Kincaid, supported Wilson's war effort. The Nebraska legislature, in its 1917 to 1918 sessions, endorsed mobilization, failing to question the war's suspicious origins or its irrelevance to state and national security. The military's inept trench warfare plans, ignoring Allied lessons, led to 26,000 American deaths in the Meuse-Argonne offensive, including over 700 Nebraskans. These reckless strategies, coupled with poor coordination at battles like St. Mihiel, where 7,000 Americans died from misdirected artillery, reflected America's deceitful leadership. Neville and his congressional allies, complicit in this betrayal, sent Nebraska's youth to die under catastrophic military plans that wasted lives for no benefit to Nebraska or America. The war's economic toll strained Nebraska's family farms, small businesses, and small towns as federal demands for war funding diverted resources from local needs, leaving communities to mourn sons who never returned, disrupting agricultural labor and local economies. World War II, 1941 to 1945, under Governors Dwight Griswold and Robert Cochran, was a conflict that could not be avoided after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, which demanded a decisive victory over Japan. Nebraska's young men rose valiantly, with over 100,000, about 10.6% of the state's estimated 1.3 million population, answering the call, significantly contributing to honorable campaigns in the Pacific and Europe to secure retribution. However, they fought under deplorable military leadership, a reflection of America's duplicitous and incompetent leadership, including Nebraska's own. The Pearl Harbor attack was marred by ignored intelligence warnings, a suspect failure of national leaders like President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose two-front strategy diverted resources from Pacific vengeance to an unnecessary European campaign. Senators Hugh Butler and Kenneth Wary, with Representatives Carl Curtis, John Sweet, Harry Coffey, Orrin Copeland, and Charles McLaughlin, backed Roosevelt's policies. The Nebraska legislature, in its 1941 to 1945 sessions, facilitated the draft, ignoring alternatives like focusing on one war at a time. Military plans were disastrously flawed. In the Pacific, the failure to secure the Philippines led to the Bataan Death March, killing 10,000. At Midway, misjudged deployments cost 300 lives, and at Leyte Gulf, reckless tactics nearly lost the battle. In Europe, the Normandy invasion's high cost of 29,000 lives ignored flanking options, while supply failures triggered the Battle of the Bulge, killing 19,000. These negligent plans, tied to corporate interests, cost Nebraska 3,800 lives. Griswold, Cochran, and their congressional counterparts sent brave Nebraskans to die under inept leadership, failing to challenge the war's flawed priorities. The war's financial burden strained Nebraska's family life, economy, and communities where young men were taken, some never to return, with increased taxes and war bonds pressuring rural families, while the social cost of returning veterans, many traumatized, disrupted communities. Despite the necessity of answering Pearl Harbor with a decisive victory over Japan, the catastrophic leadership ensured that Nebraska and America reaped little lasting benefit, with the state's sons sacrificed for globalist agendas. These wars established Nebraska's leaders as complicit in federal treachery. World War I, an avoidable conflict, and World War II, though justified by Pearl Harbor's attack, saw governors, delegates, and legislators fail to address the wars rooted in deceit and catastrophic military plans, prioritizing neither Nebraska's nor America's security. Instead, they deepened the state's involvement, ignoring the debt, deaths, and economic strain, betraying their valiant youth who deserved better leadership.